AIDS 302. Welcome to Module 1, Video 2. Moving right along. I usually start these videos with kind of like housekeeping, some issues that either caught my eye or I think about during the week. Uh, Question 5 of the syllabus quiz, I noticed it was kind of awkward. Um, it said kind of like, one of the choices was in any form that is not allowed. That's clear, but then I wrote in parentheses, word for papers and text for discussion board posts. I didn't like that. Now, it wasn't really a factor for many people at all, and I changed credit for that. I have to reword that better. I'm not going to say what the answer is because, well, there's only like, well, yeah, I think there's a few people that haven't taken it yet. But read it carefully. What I mean, of course, is that syllabus quiz 2, 5, 8, 10, 12. Yeah, that's about maybe up to half the class yet. What's going on? Let's go. um, but just remember that unless specified, well, not even less specified, all papers have to be Word docs, all Word docs. Don't submit PDFs, don't submit pages. If you do by accident, I will give you a 0, but only because it'll call your attention to that immediately. And then I'd like you to fix that format and resubmit it, okay? When it comes to discussion boards, if there's no responses required, I don't know, do I have those in this class? I don't even know. Yeah, you could submit in Word, or if there's a Word doc template, submit that. But frankly, those should be assignments. I'll double check. I think that issue was in 301. Other than that, just type type in the text box. In lieu of paragraph indents, just put in a line gap where you want your paragraph to start. And believe me, you're going to hear this a million times from me about paragraph breaks. I need those. I require those like in the morning with my supplements. I take paragraph breaks. Okay, so um, give me paragraph breaks. Don't make me read a long, drawn out thing because I'll just make you read one. And it's not pleasant, let me tell you. Okay, even when the writing is good. We'll get into that later about formatting and how it impacts content. Okay, but in the most basic sense, learn to write with paragraph breaks. When you're changing it up a little bit, new paragraph. Okay, now I don't want to see a paragraph every sentence, but I've never had somebody give me too many paragraph breaks. It's always none or not enough, right? So that's just a little diatribe there that I didn't plan on. Okay. So for the Easter eggs, thank you so much. You guys seem to get the hang of it right away, sending them to me. My preference is you keep it simple. You should be using your ASU email only, and your name then will be on that, unless it's some kind of maiden name, new single name, whatever it is. Then yeah, put your name. Just put your name on the bottom of the paper, of the email. Just list the Easter eggs. Boom, boom, boom. 1, 2, 3. Don't put them in sentence form because then I got to read them. I'd rather just see them. You know what I mean? I see them. I have to read them because some people go a little over the top, and I don't mind that. You're just being cordial and polite about it, professional. I get it. So I'm giving you the permission here to just go bam, 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 1, 2, 3. If you've been in my 301 class, you know that sometimes I forget all 3. So then you go bam, bam for 2. But just do the 3, okay? And then if you have anything else to say to me, I don't care, okay? If you want to say, hey, a Silomar, I know that place, it's awesome. Hey, then write that underneath. I don't care. If you have a question, write it underneath. I mean, I like the communication. I used it as an Easter egg for the first video. And I'm not trying to put anybody off for that. I just want to make sure it's really clear. I want to see the Easter eggs. I want to see your name, either an email return address or that. I don't want to go through like last session. I had to have students tell me if they were in my 301, 302 because I was teaching 301, 302, and many times I use the same Easter eggs. Don't ask me why. I'm an idiot, but I did. So in this class, all I'm doing is teaching this class. I know it seems like an easy job. It's not. I mean, I got 60, I think we're up to 67 students, 8 openings yet. Hopefully that's about it though. 67 and like 35 were my 301. So I like that balance. Um, so talk amongst yourselves. No, just, um, what was my track then? Easter eggs. Okay. Oh my God. I lose my focus. Okay. So in terms of, like I said, the communication, keep it going, keep it alive. It's great. I noticed some students are going to be probably confident and keep moving ahead. You'll do that for Module 1. Module 1 is a piece of cake. It's 85 points. There's nothing here. I need to add more to it. I'm just a little, I won't say afraid, but I'm a little cautious because I like to get people get their sea legs. They got a lot of classes starting, trying to maneuver and how you're going to work your schedule out. So I don't want to give you too much. But let it be known that starting in Module 2, you're going to start cranking it up, stepping up your game. This IDS 302 is not a gimme, like I said. I think you'll appreciate that at the end of the day. In terms of I'm already scoring some of the discussion board open, the introductions. I like them a lot, although there is like a thread going on of comments and things about staying young forever, isn't it? Something like that. The dreams, and I just think you're taking shots at me. Period. I mean, because that just hurts. It just hurts me here. It's fine. Enjoy it while you were young. Okay. Um, I got a kick out of seeing that though, and as well as I continued to drift farther and farther from these music videos and not recognize them. Some of you are so generous and you'll say, well, this is what my grandfather used to listen to me with. And they'll post like an Eagles song from the 70s or Santana or Pink Floyd or something. I did get a John Lennon Imagine. The funny thing is, most of these songs remember when they came out. I think last semester I had Benny and the Jets, Elton John, and it's like I remember these. I remember when that came out. I was 16 years old. And one of my buddies got his license. In fact, it was March 14th coming up, 1974. 16. I was still 15 for a couple months yet, and he got his license, took out his dad's Grand Prix, and if you ever look up like a 72, 73 Grand Prix, they were just gigantic cars, big front end, two-door, the doors were monstrous. You get in there, he came and picked me up, and it was snow on the streets of Milwaukee and slushy, and we went out and oh my God, just what kids do, at 16. I'm yelling out the window, and we're singing Benny and the Jets is on the radio. And we never forget that. And to this day, we talk about it, and I'll call him again on his birthday Sunday. But so it's always like nostalgic when I read a song choice that when you give me that it's old. Not you don't have to do that. I'm not gonna ding you if you put on somebody that I've never heard of, which there's just too many to name. So, anyways, it's fun to go through those, and I'm, so I like reading that. I appreciate the introductions from all of you. I appreciate your kind words and your emails on the first Easter egg. I know a lot of you don't know what you're getting into, so I chuckle to myself. I'm looking forward to this class. I know, I appreciate it. Believe me, I do. And I think you're going to appreciate it too. Get a hit of incense there. That's pretty good stuff. So, pro tip, using terms and concepts from the text and readings when you are sending it back to me in a paper or in a discussion board or in a quiz or something. It always helps me because then I know that you know, right? So try not to reinvent the wheel too much, okay? This is where this balance comes in because, yes, structured course is great. Examples, samples. What does he really want? Rubrics. I like to keep it, I like you to flounder a little, test your wings. Okay, there's a definite structure here, and I'll explain that as we go along. But within that structure, I want you to show me what you got. I post sample papers, and I had to make this really clear like last 302, is that those sample papers are not the high bar to reach. That's not the ceiling here. I want you to blow by that ceiling. In fact, every sample I use this session I got from last session. Okay. So I challenged my students to improve the samples. Let's evolve. Let's keep the course going. I'm excited. I developed this course, well, from the 301 when Dr. Prasdia and I developed the 301 and using Tanner. I said, you know what? I don't want to use this anymore. Excuse me. I don't want to use this anymore. You see this? This was your old textbook for this class. Let me tell you, it hurts my head just flipping through it. It's a good book about practical research. In fact, last fall, one of my students, she was a very mature student, and I don't say that like emotionally mature. She was like 50, and she really wanted to learn more about research, and so I sent her one of my extra texts that I had. It goes through so many different ways of research, and you're gonna get a little clipping of that module two, from that where I snapped pictures of it and uploaded it. So what I did was I changed it to this process, and I started at face to face last spring for a full session A, session C. It really sucked. Okay, they knew it. They were patient with me. We had a good time, and I did it intentionally with a face to face class so I could really gauge students, focus, attention, and interaction, and comments and advice. We could build this thing. Then the pandemic hit. So a year ago this week we started the Zoom class times and continued on. And I got to tell you, it was as most of my classes are. It really touched me how they responded to helping me develop this course with me, co-production. Because I saw Tanner's 5 steps, I said, bam, that's the way to do it in this limited amount of time we have. Because let me tell you something about research here. Once you learn about the research, but here's the thing: research in a 7.5 week class, impossible. It's not, because we're going to do it, right? Because research is not like I'm going to discover about a new car and compile a bunch of facts. Research is not going back to high school and say, I'm going to do a research paper on the Titanic. And so you look up all kinds of things on icebergs and strength of steel and weather conditions and blah, blah, blah. Put it together and you go, here's my research paper. It's not a research paper in university level. It's a report. It's a compilation of facts that you learned from. Okay? You did it because you wanted to learn something from it. University research is a whole different animal, and I'm going to get to that in module 2 videos. But the obstacles we have in this class, they're 7.5 weeks to do legitimate research, 67 students, or whatever the number at any time is, who likely have not done university level research before, and an interdisciplinary class where everybody comes with their own 2 concentrations. So the easiest thing for me to do would be to say, here's your project. You're going to do it all on climate change, and that's it. And some people got business communication like, what the heck? I didn't sign up to do climate change. I know you didn't. That's why I'm to overcome that part. I'm going to let you get to choose what you're going to research. I'm going to give you a chance. Okay, let's talk about that more a little bit. So, okay, use forms of integration. As I said in video 1, IDS equals integration, right? I said that. I meant it. If you're with my 301, you know that. I drill it into you. I want to hardwire you with it because it's the simplest way that you can explain to yourself, your employers, your job interviews, your parents, your relatives. I've used the story before when I was doing IDS. It was BIS back when I was doing it in 2010 to 13. I went to a family reunion. My cousin and her husband, they're like judges and PhDs, teachers, whatever. And I hadn't seen them in a while. And they're like, hey, so we heard you went back to school. Well, I'd gone 1 year back in the 90s. But, I was 52, 53 at the time. And I said, yeah, you're taking interdisciplinary studies? I go, yeah. And remember that cousin-in-law, he said, so that's where you throw shit against the wall and see what sticks. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's what I didn't know what to say. Oh, my God, that was so bad. I don't want you to run into that. I want to help you. So IDS equals integration is the simplest start to that. And then where you go from there, it's much easier because you're understanding why. We're going to get into that again in a minute here, okay? Another challenge I'm going to offer you as we get into these papers is not to use I, me, or my, or us, or we for that matter, the royal we, So we are so pleased to see. So no I, me, my, because you're going to write in third person. This is a great challenge, and I know you're up for it. And if you have any paragraph, sentence, whatever phrase that you can't get around putting yourself in, you let me know what it is, and I'll help you get out of it. It's an exciting way to write because think about when you're in high school or whatever, you had a history book, you had history, you're reading your history textbook, and it said, yeah, World War II, the Allies against the Axis powers, and Hitler was a. What you don't read in your history books was World War II. I always wanted to write about World War II because I have an interest in it. My grandfather served in World War II, and he was there, and I like that. There's the I, me, my. The root answer to that is nobody cares. We care about what you're bringing to the table in terms of your academics. All right, I'll get more into that. But keep that in the back of your mind. All right, unless the assignment is specifically about you, and I'm telling you to tell me something about you, then you definitely get to use I, me, my. Right? But in the main papers, no. Step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, no. Okay, so people are doing the academic integrity agreement. I think we have like 59 out of 67 have done it. I'm so happy about that. I usually get a percentage of stragglers and some won't ever show up, but it's really impressed me. In fact, I'm intimidated by this big of a group here. The syllabus quiz, again, going well. And the video 1, you're staying with it. I did backload things to later for the discussion board and the quiz. Easter egg number 1 is IDS equals integration. We'll talk more about that. The discussion board, simple intro, post your video song, hit enter so it hot links. Good to see it. The quiz, do on Sunday. There is no late quizzes accepted. It shuts off, do the quiz. It's pretty simple. But to do it, you're going to need to do the readings though, okay? And IDS 401, we had a faculty meeting yesterday, talked a lot about adding a 1-credit course in the program for IDS 401 preparation, things like that. So if you haven't seen that yet, get on that link and find out what your options are and what you want to do. Ask me, let me know if you have any questions. I'll be glad to give you what I got. I'm not an expert on 401. I just know what I did, and I know what students do now, I think, and I might have some contacts, but just check that out because you need it and there's deadlines, okay? So let's get into the Tanner deal on intro in chapter 1. I just want to highlight quickly here. You can see I do like a different color every session. By the way, there's a second edition coming out in the fall, I guess. Good. So the first thing in introduction, integrative studies is a curricular approach to integrative learning and interdisciplinarity. Notice how those words are in there: integration, integrative, and interdisciplinary. And when I say IDS equals integration, I mean that. But if you look at the lower, it'll say interdisciplinarity is an approach to solving complex problems from multiple perspectives. Integration or integrative learning has a function within interdisciplinarity, but also extended to mean an application of interdisciplinarity. Interdisciplinarity and integrative learning can be applied to one's college curriculum. Okay, so what's he saying there? What he's saying there is the way I extend and look at this. Interdisciplinary studies is the field you're in. Now, some universities call it integrative studies, but anytime there's a studies at the end, African studies, American studies, European studies, it's a field. It's a field of learning. And it's already an integrative field when you get to anything like African American studies or European studies, Japanese studies, whatever you have, you're already combining different disciplines to get to that studies, okay? So interdisciplinary studies is a field. Integration by itself is a process. It's more of a process. It's about applying the concepts and ideas of interdisciplinarity to something. And that's what the difference is. When I say IDS equals integration, I mean it as a starting point, but the two things have slight differences, okay? They don't match up perfectly. That's an important distinction to make. He talks about some of the programs here. Just read these closely. Some meaningful degree programs are no efforts in integrating. So this is where we get into that, drill it down to integrating. Okay, interdisciplinarity is an approach to answering questions, solving problems, and addressing contemporary social issues from multiple perspectives. Yes, it is. Okay, so we're going to get into that. For example, like I might have said in video 1, Black Lives Matter movement. Okay, it's a polarized movement, but it's real. It's there. How do we analyze it? How do we look at it? I mean, it's a phenomena. Okay, some people might want to call it a problem, some people might call it an issue, some people want to call it a solution. It's a phenomena that can be analyzed and looked at through interdisciplinarity, through an integrative process, which doesn't seek to, and I'll show you this later, to be multidisciplinary. It seeks to be interdisciplinary, okay? So you want to read this, and then I'm going to go to chapter 1. The key terms. The types of disciplinary focus is very important. Quiz, very important, okay? There's a lot of good stuff in here. As you can see, I'm not going to reread it to you. He does not include cross-disciplinary, which is important, and I'll get to that. So disciplinarity. Notice what he's defining a discipline in this, okay? Let's see the top of my head. But he does talk about cross-disciplinary here. So he talks about disciplinary, cross-disciplinary, multidisciplinary, interdisciplinary, and transdisciplinary. He does add integrative studies in there. I have no idea why. It's just way out of place, Dr. Tanner. Please don't do that. Okay. One of the key things, though, is complexity. You need to be, the problems and the phenomena need to be complex. Black Lives Matter, complex. Okay. Gun rights in America, complex. Domestic terrorism, complex. Okay. Food shortages, all these things that I name in module 2. Okay. So, Easter egg number 2, IDS is a field. See where I'm going there, right? Talking about differentiating, okay? I know I'm moving along at 21, but I'm getting a lot that I wanted to talk about today to kind of get you hardwired foundationally to what we're going to be doing from the rest of the course after this module, okay? After you get done with the easy stuff, it's so easy, even a quiz is easy. Just do the reading. So the attachments here. Michael Price, that's Dr. Prisdia right there. I'm going to have to call him back. Okay, hold on. Let me just text him. Look at the, look at the, because I know some of you probably don't have your text yet. It usually happens. I get it. Hopefully you'll get one. There's an ebook available. Look on the syllabus for the ebook too, and you can get it instantly from the publisher that way, okay? So Module 1 learning materials, we have reviewing the disciplinary pyramid, okay? The disciplinary pyramid looks like this, and you're going to see it, right? See it, take a quick look. Ready? And that's it. Okay. So it's called the interdisciplinary pyramid, but it should be the disciplinary pyramid. Okay, I don't know who's doing these things. Okay. So on the bottom, and this is not so much a hierarchy as it kind of is, but it's not in terms of importance. It's just in terms of single discipline on the bottom, intradisciplinary. It's single discipline. If you're in my 301, you saw this, and many of you in your 301s, you saw this. I'm just re-emphasizing it because you need to know what these things are to identify and analyze. Intradisciplinary, one discipline, okay? So the discipline is engineering, just looking at engineering, that's it, okay? So, oh, he had a tech issue. Okay, then above that is cross-disciplinary. You're going to read about that in various places, and there's a couple ways of looking at it, okay? Mainly, though, it's like analyzing one phenomena through a discipline, looking at another one. Basically, for example, what do I always use? Looking at music, analyzing music through a lens of mathematics. So we know we can do that, right? Okay. Multidisciplinary, that is more than one discipline, right? Interdisciplinary is also more than one discipline. The difference is what? Integration. That's the difference. And then transdisciplinary goes beyond the disciplines. So it starts including non-disciplinary ideas as well as stakeholders. So if one was looking at domestic terrorism from a transdisciplinary point of view, you would include victims of domestic terrorism, maybe clergy, maybe law enforcement officers. Just because they're law enforcement officers doesn't mean they represent the law enforcement academia discipline. Okay, they were trained, they went to school. I mean, some of them don't. Just the way a politician is not a political science academic. He's a politician, right? They do politics, but political scientists are in the discipline. So transdisciplinary will include non-disciplinary stakeholders. Consequently, we have the disciplinary approaches, which I am going to show you. Oh, come on. Here, and you'll look at these, of course. So from left to right, you'll see these arrows. Now, The left one is singular discipline. You look at a discipline, it looks at the problem, P for problem. Cross-disciplinary, discipline through a discipline at the problem. Multidisciplinary, discipline problem, discipline problem, discipline problem. No efforts to do anything together. Interdisciplinary, discipline, 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 all three together to the problem. Interdisciplinary. Transdisciplinary, circular, problem in the middle. You got disciplines, you got disciplines. The problem pretty much dictates it. Then you can have some non-disciplinary. So it's very important just to understand it, the hardware, so you have a conceptual idea of that, right? Okay. And then there's Meath, a matter of definition. Now, Meath, it's a classic little article, one page. That's it. It's in the old style of mimeograph that I used to get. Looks like it type mimeograph from grade school. So it just talks about these disciplinary foci again, all right? And you'll need this information for the quiz, okay? Pretty simple. So, and then I have a little generic issues about formatting, which we'll continue to get into as we move forward. Okay, I know I'm going way long here, but I need to, I'll wrap it up here. So, yeah, we're going to throw a lot at you in Module 2. Your research topic and the process especially. What I'd like you to do when you have time, if you're working ahead, if you have time, look in Module 2 at your research topic. Look at the choices I'm giving you. Consider if any of those resonate with you, okay? They're very general, yes, and we'll work on that, but I'd like to know where you're headed, okay? If you have another idea that's not on that list, articulate that to me in an email, and I will be glad to discuss it with you. I am open to other topics and issues. Just remember that this is probably something you haven't done before in terms of research, and I might have to explain to you why it won't work and why something close to it might. But let's have that conversation, because remember, communication. I'm willing to talk to everybody on the phone or Zoom, whatever you want to do. All right, let's keep it under a half hour. Let's keep it. Okay, so let's see. That's about it. Okay, Easter egg number 3 is integration is a process. It's an application of, so just keep it simple, what I told you, that IDS equals integration. But IDS is a field, and integration is a process. Follow me? Okay, let's get out of here. Contact me if you have any questions, comments, concerns. Forks up. Peace.